Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
Yeah,
We got it! We got it!
52 books.
Somebody clip this one.
We're ready to believe you.
Welcome to Comics League Movie Night. I am Jared, and today we are discussing Ghostbusters. Now, Nick, I got a question for you. Who are you gonna call?
Someone else.
That's a reference to our other movie night. But anyway, so yeah, we're talking about Ghostbusters. This was again, this concludes our Halloween theme. Now, just real quick, first off, I want to encourage you guys to like, comment, subscribe. Also, to all these gentlemen, all their information will be in the description below. So become a member if you feel so inclined and such. So in terms of movie night after this, November is going to be complete the DCAMU month. That's it. And then the other co-hosts, in other words, everyone but Nick and I, are going to pick the Christmas movie watch list. Just because
the time of Jared and Nick has passed.
Nick,
it is the time of a lot of
Nick, let me finish. The reason being because Nick and I took so long, picked like the past like couple of months of movies, so we want to like give them a chance to have their picks done. So anyway, gentlemen, how are you today?
Tired. That's all I can say.
What's up, Darth Huang? And when I was a kid, I watched it. I forgot all about now. Face blue smiling. Nice.
Jared, I think you have a question for me.
Yes. Let me ask you this.
Are you a god?
That's the first time in a while we've successfully had to queue up a clip.
Happened. Oh.
I played it, so whatever. And it showed up on the stream, so it's probably something up with StreamYard. But anyway, I did play the Are You a God clip. No, and I'm not a god. The only god is Zack Snyder, but that's besides the point.
I mean, when someone asks if you're a god, you say yes.
Oh. Yes, exactly. I couldn't fit all these clips. You picked some really good ones. So this is a very, very classic film. And Nick, how about you explain to the audience like why you picked this one, what you enjoy about it? Go on.
Well, it's when it comes to like the Halloween canon of movies, this is, if you had a Mount Rushmore of like Halloween movies, this would go on there. In fact, this would probably be the George Washington of Halloween films.
Probably. And what's kind of funny, for a Halloween film, it's not scary at all.
It's creepy, it's kooky, and it's spooky, but then that's what matters.
Yeah, the thing about it is that when I was watching it, well, granted, I'll tell you this. Some of the CGI is a little dated, but here's the thing about it. It's part of the character of this movie, so I actually appreciate it.
It's not even CGI. Like some of the optical effects, like some of the effects of like the dog, like when the dogs leap over. It's like, yeah, that doesn't look quite right. But like when the dogs are when the dogs are just sitting there and they're snarling, they still look amazing.
It still looked good. Yeah, exactly. It was only when they were like in motion that it was kind of odd. But again, it has a certain charm to it. In other words, I was more accepted. This is the type of CGI acceptance that Andy Muschietti wishes he got with The Flash.
Yeah. And the thing you gotta realize, a lot of this isn't CGI. These are optical effects, because like for example, the dogs and like this movie came out in 1984. Yeah, like The Abyss is 3 years away, and even that looks dated. Like it looks okay, but it's dated still. Like these are like the dogs in motion are stop motion puppets, and then it's analog compositing.
Yeah, the thing about it, and then I'll get to Taladia was this stuff. It looks great for the time period because I've watched movies relatively around this time period that look like utter crap by today's standards. This one's looks okay. I can buy it at least that it's I can at least buy what they're trying to communicate. So Taladia, your thoughts on Ghostbusters?
I think it's an instant classic.
Yeah.
Nothing beats a classic 80s film than Ghostbusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually used to watch this on TV, right? Because
Really?
in the UK, used to come up on TV, and we used to watch for free.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was an experience of a lifetime just to watch it on TV. And I watched both films, by the way, because they used to play it back to back.
And by the
But
way,
this, go
can
ahead.
I say real quick? I'm sorry to catch you up. I have to add this. So fortuitously, today we're doing the Ghostbusters stream, and then HasLab reveals this.
Oh, that is tempting. That is
They're
tempting.
legit making a replica of the ghost trap and the detector and everything like that.
You know they made the proton packs. I've actually seen them. Like I go to conventions and there's Ghostbusters like cosplayers, and they've shown me the HasLab. It looks amazing.
Yeah, HasLab does a fantastic job with what they can crowdfund. Apparently, they couldn't crowdfund a Rava's lightsaber.
Why did I know you were gonna say that?
Yeah, because the funny part about that, if they had labeled it Grand Inquisitor's lightsaber, it probably would have been funded. But anyway, back to Ghostbusters. So to be clear, I have seen this movie before. I want to be clear on this, but it was like in my early years. I haven't watched it since because I had other stuff to keep me occupied. But rewatching it, even I got a little nostalgia to my childhood watching this movie with my dad. It brought back some good times. Good times.
Yeah, this is also like a childhood favorite for mine, and I have seen it like every like I think the last time I saw it, like sat down and watched in person, is like maybe 5 years ago or so. So like it's not like like recent. Like it's been long enough that like it's still somewhat fresh, but like not long enough that like I forgot everything. Like the best thing, like honestly, the best thing you could do is sit down and watch a movie you haven't seen in forever that you know you love, and it's like you're watching the movie all over again
For the first time after a long time, yeah. By the way, so those of you that don't know, I'm going to tell you a little seemingly random anecdote, but I'm going to bring this up. So I studied political science in school. So what I want to do is I want to have a series where I'm like, where someone approaches me, and I go, back off, man, I'm a political scientist. I have to do that once. But by the way, it's kind of funny. I saw this great meme that was like, political scientist, I'm something of a scientist myself.
One thing, like one modern interpretation of the movie that like I don't actually deny is this movie is very much steeped in kind of like the Reagan era of like whatnot. And this is like positive. Like I'm doing this in a positive manner here. So just like the business owners fighting against like kind of like the government corrupting, like stopping them from doing it. This is very much a movie that could only have been made in the Reagan era.
And fun fact?
Go ahead.
The Marshmallow Man was introduced into this, and they made food out of it.
Oh, that's where that came from?
I mean, if we're gonna talk about the merchandising, with the real money from the movie,
merchandising. I wish I had that clip still in there, but it's all
like
good.
Ghostbusters created a merchandising fan base that like was right up there with Star Wars in the 80s. Like the biggest reason they made the sequel in 89 was because the merchandise was so freaking profitable.
Yeah, because a certain degree, it's like, so whenever I go to cons, I see either anime or Ghostbusters stuff. In fact, it's kind of funny. When I was in a con years and years before comics together existed, back in Atlanta, I actually saw the Ghostbusters car.
The Echo.
Which, by the way, the car is a 1959 Cadillac ambulance.
Nerd.
No.
In fact, what's kind of funny, I love when they introduce the car and Dan Aykroyd is like going, it's okay, it still drives, it just needs, and he proceeds to like list off this long ass
Everything.
pretty much everything, and I'm like, oh, that's good. I like that a lot, and I love where they buy the apartment and Venkman, the other guy, are like not so good on the apartment, and then Dan Aykroyd's character shows up and goes, okay, this is awesome, let's take it.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to connect this to Spider-Man for you guys. A lot of you are going to love this. So, the firehouse where they shot it at is an actual firehouse in New York City. In fact, in Spider-Man, for the PS4, PS5, you can actually go to that firehouse.
We've done it on your streams, I believe.
On a remaster,
and if you
can.
Yeah, and if you go around the building in the back, there is graffiti of a ghost, which basically says the developers are like, we know why you guys are here.
Yes, exactly. Which I love that. Yeah, that game has got like so many like references to stuff other than Marvel that it's like, okay, that is really cool.
Yeah, and it's like, because you got to realize all these people were SNL alums, or they came from like the same school of comedy. Like, this movie really is lightning in a bottle. You have 4 comedians at the height, in the prime of their talent, their ability, their fame. They know each other. They play off each other beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That they all understand comedic timing and all stuff. So yeah, and plus they were from back when Saturday Night Live was actually funny. So there is that.
Yes.
Yeah. So briefly, the plot is, so a bunch of scientists are studying paranormal stuff. They get their funds taken away, so they decide to go independent. And what's kind of funny is that now the like population of New York accepts that there are paranormal instances. So all of a sudden they become instant celebrities when they capture like ghosts and stuff. And I thought that, and I think that's one of the funny part, because compare this to any other movie featuring basically a vigilante, and it's like, okay, where's the J. Jonah Jameson? By the way, I did like one of the newspapers says it's a new civil rights issue. Do the ghosts have rights? Because I'm like, that would 100% happen nowadays.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, Master Sergeant? Thank you for the $10 super chat, my brother. Really appreciate that.
This would be interesting for 2000s, right? For a 2000s kid watching an 80s film, how do you feel about the retrospective on this? Like,
well, I've watched a lot of 80s films like Star Wars and such. Well, or films around that time period, or like Aliens and stuff. So I was familiar with like a lot of the tropes of 80s films.
yeah.
So it wasn't 100%. It was not under any circumstances like a non-enjoyable movie, because there are some 80s films that I just cannot watch because I find them like annoying and headache inducing. So I was just like, okay. Master Sergeant says 1980s movies work so well because there was a decade that really pushed pop culture. Yeah, exactly. That's I'm going to agree about that. That's what I love about 80s media. They freaking nailed making this stuff mainstream and make it so like, because it's like Star Wars, this, Aliens. I'm talking about movies around that time period, even if they're not necessarily in the 80s. Batman.
Yeah.
That it started when being a nerd was cool. I say started because really it wasn't until Iron Man.
Wait, what?
Because until I say these films in the 80s laid the foundation for nerddom becoming cool, because until Iron Man, it wasn't cool to walk around in like an Iron Man t-shirt, a Captain America t-shirt, or anything like that, anything comic book or geek related. Now, because of the foundation these films in Iron Man laid, at least I argue, it is cool again. In other words, I couldn't walk around in this t-shirt.
Or my Superman t-shirt.
Or your especially Superman t-shirt. 100%, dude.
And I get what you mean. But I think what really brings me to this fold for this film was, I think it's Sienna Weaver forgot her name.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, thank you. she was in the first film, right? Correct?
She was in the first Ghostbusters movie. That is correct.
Yes. She portrayed that character to a T.
Yeah.
Awesomeness.
And I love even how she was able to like pantomime a demonic possession. And by the way,
Can I talk to Dana?
There is no Dana, only Soul.
yeah, so I enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. But she's what also cool is the costume she had.
Yeah, I like that too. The set design and costume design in this movie is stellar. It's really cool. It really transports you into the world. And it's not like ostentatious, as again, a lot of this is why I consider like Ghostbusters one of the more tolerable 80s movies, because everything is done to a point where you feel like you're in that time period. It dates the movie, but it does so in a way that it makes the movie feel like an artifact and everything like that. So it's really cool. That's what I enjoy about it. What about you, Taladia? Who is your favorite character? Let me ask you this. Mine was Venkman because because Bill Murray is one of the kings of sarcasm, and I freaking love every single line he puts out there.
I think what's his name? Bill forgot his name. Bill Murray. That's his name.
Peter Venkman.
Yeah, Peter Venkman. I call him Peter Venkman because
and by the way, in the chat, who are your favorite characters? So
I think
continue on.
I think Peter Venkman is the most funniest guy in this film. I was just like laughing at his jokes. God, I was just like, why can't I make those types of jokes these days? Please, for the love of God, because these types of jokes are so hilarious for an 80s film.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that there's a danger sometimes when there's an the thing about it is that there are times when like a lot of jokes from back then don't translate well. In this movie, it's not that. So it's written in a way that it takes place in the 80s, but it's timeless. So that's what I really dig about that. So let's see. Moving on. So what's your favorite part of the movie? Let me ask you this. And again, same question for the chat. And by the way,
Marshmallow Man. Marshmallow.
That's your favorite character? Okay, hey, that's valid. And Master says Venkman was a great character. He accepted the ghost thing, but with sarcasm and pessimism. Yeah, I love that. I love how he's just not fazed by anything. And the reason why I love Bill Murray is because he's the master of straight-faced comedy, where whenever anything's happening, straight face the entire time. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
But you know what would have been funny? Mm-hmm. Imagine what's his name from 12 I forgot his name now. Steve something, not Steve Coogan. He's a comedian actor.
Yeah,
imagine him being in Ghostbusters with Peter Venkman, actor, right? That would be really funny to see. But yeah, the Marshmallow Man is my favorite part of like seeing him go. Oh,
and I love the one reaction by by Ray when he goes. See, here's the thing. She created a monster out of what we would think of the time, and all of a sudden, the image of the Marshmallow Man popped into my head that I had seen when I was a kid, and I'm like, okay.
And that's when the food products started to be made.
That's when the food products attacked, and I'm like, oh, geez. By the way, speaking of what's actually a kind of funny thing is, I was thinking, for those of you that know me, know that when I watch movies with actors in the same role in different movies, I like to create a cinematic universe. So what this actually is, what you don't know is that, and this was revealed purely to me by my sources, that Sigourney Weaver's character is actually Ellen Ripley. See, what happened was after her run and the Ghostbusters stopped, she was put into cryostasis, and then she woke up in the Aliens timeline, and then she became a space trucker.
You make me laugh, man.
I see, it's all there. It's all there.
I gotta ask you a question though. was there ever a Ghostbusters comic?
I believe there was. Let's check, because it would make sense if there were, because yes, there were. There were a series called Real Ghostbusters. It had, according to this, it had like various comics that are actually continuing to the present day. So Marvel did it. A bunch of other companies did it, but I believe they are modern or something like that. Yeah,
But there's no movie tie-ins or anything.
there probably are, because whenever they do like comics and movies, I mean, there's one for like, I think there's one for Aliens. There is one for Batman '89, by the way, which I've read. It's really cool. And yeah, so IDW currently is publishing Ghostbusters movies.
I do want to ask this though,
Yeah.
right? Have you ever thought about Ghostbusters?
Master Sergeant nails it. Should be part of the Monsterverse with Godzilla and King Kong versus Marshmallow Man. Mind blown, sir.
What?
That is an excellent idea.
But you know what? I'm thinking about doing a battle royale when I download WWE 2K23 again. Make the Marshmallow Man get Godzilla and get King Kong. Triple threat.
It'd be hilarious if someone modded it, modded Mortal Kombat to make the Marshmallow Man a character, and like the blood from that is just the marshmallow stuff. I don't know if
That'd be cool.
I don't know if marshmallows bleed. I have no idea. Do you bleed? You will. Yes, there you go. There you go. That's excellent.
Whenever we're talking about other movies, we gotta bring.
We have to bring in Zack Snyder at least once. Godzilla would roast them, and Godzilla would make a s'more. Yes, that's what that has to be, like a short. That has to be a short. That would be fantastic. And then the MonsterVerse later, 500 years in the future, leads to aliens, and that is how Sigourney Weaver's character. That's the through line.
Yes,
that is the through line. Can you imagine a Godzilla getting a face hugger on him, or King Kong, and turns into a giant xenomorph?
You know what? I'm just thinking about that. That'd be freaking cool.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that would work.
That would be cool, because on so many levels it'd be over 9,000 hype level.
I'm telling you, because we're having Justice League versus Godzilla and Kong, and that looks great. I'm just giving you that. That's doing well. Give me some really nuts crossovers.
But I gotta ask you this: have you ever seen the animated Ghostbusters, which was tied to the movie? I believe
I've heard of it. I've never watched it. At least I don't think I've ever watched it.
It was an 80s cartoon show.
Probably not then.
Because as a 90s, okay,
yeah,
I
watched them in the 80s. Sweet.
But yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting, and again, like Nick said previously, this is like really like, wait, that's where Slimer came from. Oh, that's where that's from. But I definitely, so in terms of like the way this movie is done, because again, it's a lot. Let me ask you this, because I asked Nick about this, so I want to get your opinion on this. What do you think of the visual effects of the movie?
Dude, the visual effects for that time period, I'm just like, I was stunned by it, and I'm still am, because for that time era, nobody comes up with like the graphics, like the ghouls and the ghosts, and
yeah, I gotta say,
the green. I forgot his name. Slimy, I think his
Slimer,
name is Slimer. Yeah, Slimer, right? For his, like, his design looks really.
Yeah, I dug that, and and what's really, really cool about it is is the what they were able to get away with back then, because again, visual effects is not as like advanced back then, and they were still able to make like transparent ghosts and everything like that. And I'm like, that's why I like watching movies here, particularly well-made movies like, say, Star Wars or this, because I like seeing what they were able to do with the limited resources they have. So that's again why a lot of those things really, really interest me going through all these movies. So let's go. So in terms of like, what other ghost? Let me ask you this, Taladia. Oh, I got it, Taladia. Here's a crossover I know you would want to see. You ready? Constantine and the Ghostbusters. Eh?
Constantine and what?
And the Ghostbusters. He does a lot of ghosts. Or
It has to
Justice
be
League Dark.
It has to be Keanu Reeves.
Well,
No question.
yeah. But I'm saying, dude, even the comics, Justice League Dark versus the Ghostbusters. Can you imagine that?
You know what? I can.
That would be so cool. I could see them doing that, and I think that it would work really well and be really interesting to check out. So, in terms of like again, so the other thing I want to say is that so here's what we were talking about earlier. I want to harp on the visual effects a little bit because it's well done, and I want to talk about this. So here's the visual. When you look at like the dog just standing here as one thing, it looks really good.
The graphics on the thingy design on this
Creature design is awesome.
Yeah,
awesome. And what's cool about that, because you know what this probably is an animatronic, or a dude in the suit, probably animatronic, but it's only the point, like Nick said earlier, when the thing is like jumping and moving, when I'm like, okay, this looks really odd. So, by the way, and I always thought Constantine and Blade would be cool. Well, yeah, that's an excellent idea. If that's a Marvel DC crossover, I would have loved to check out. But so now let me ask you this. So, Taladia, I don't know if I already asked this yet, but might as well. What's your favorite part of the movie? And again, chat people, what's your favorite parts of the movie?
I can't pronounce her name.
Sigourney Weaver.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what. I'll do it slowly. Sigourney and then Weaver.
I'll just call her Weaver.
There you go. That's fine. Or you just call her Ripley because again, it's the same character. Same character. Again, I should I should have like a tin hat go across the screen every time I do that. But anyway, so go ahead, Taladia.
Like I said, I think her coming down the steps with the two dogs, that scene just there, that's stunning.
That's badass. I love that. My favorite is when Venkman is doing it's in the beginning of the movie. Venkman's doing the ESP test on that one dude, and the girl gets it wrong, but he still like goes, "You are correct. You have the abilities." Then when the guy finally guesses the right card, he goes, "No, sir. That is all. You're not doing that." So because again, that's like that's 100% a thing that like every Bill Murray character would do. And again, I should do a Bill Murray like connected cinematic universe. That would be great. I would love to do that. I like the part where the ghosts start scouting the city to that soundtrack. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So Taladia, in terms of like, what other crossovers would you want to see?
Too hard for me to pick a particular one because there's so many good ones.
Well, let's see. Let's go with DC characters. What DC characters would you want to see crossed over?
DC crossover?
If DC crossed over with the Ghostbusters.
Huh.
Besides Constantine and like Justice League Dark, because that's the obvious question.
I would like to see Swamp Thing.
Ooh. That's actually a really good idea because they could do like where the
Even
Green
though
is
he's
an entire ghost.
Even though he's part of Justice League Dark.
Kind of. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. He's detached enough that I'll allow it.
Okay, so you can't allow it.
No, I can because sometimes he's attached to it, but a lot of the times, at least from what I've seen, he's not attached. Ghostbusters and Deadman. Yeah, that's an excellent idea for that. But can you imagine? By the way, so Taladia, speaking of crossovers, how fortuitous is it that Nick and I made the Halloween determination like about a month ago or so, and what's kind of funny is that we had an empty slot, so we let Taladia pick it. Then he picks Casper, which has a Ghostbusters crossover in it.
Thank you.
Imagine that. And by the way, that's the way I connected those two is that after the Ghostbusters movie, when the band broke up, he went into what's the word? He went into freelance, and then what happened is he started doing it alone. That's when you get the crossover with Casper.
Yeah.
See,
it's great.
You get
it's great though.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really great.
By the way, I did play the Ghostbusters game. That I did play on Xbox, I believe.
The asymmetrics game.
I don't remember what that. I'll try and find a.
It's like where you're the killer, where you're like the hunter, or sorry, the ghost, and you have to chase the Ghostbusters.
No, it's the one where it's basically an RPG where you're playing as like a new recruit to the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there was a game where you customize a character, and then you are like the new recruit. And it actually featured the voice actors for all the different characters. So actually, let me see. I'm trying to find the actual thing here. I'm trying to find the actual game because I know I played this a while ago, and I remember enjoying it. It was pretty cool. I like games where I can customize my own characters and thrust them into the cinematic movies I enjoy watching. But so let's see. I'm going to pull up some Ghostbusters trivia, and by trivia I mean like fun facts and stuff, so we can talk about that. So let me pull that up. Okay, 7 bizarre facts you didn't know about Ghostbusters. Okay, so let's go through this. Number 7, the hotline was real. Before the Ghostbusters become established in New York City, they released a commercial to advertise their services. The 3 original members, Venkman, Stantz, and Spengler, appear on television with the number 555-2368. During the film's theatrical release, Ivan Reitman ran the very same commercial, which allowed people to call in. Calls would hear a pre-recorded message from Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, who announced that they were unable to answer because they were busy busting ghosts. Oh, that is awesome. So that whole ad was actually real.
Yeah.
And by the way, here's the ad that we're talking about right now.
Master Sergeant's got a really good comment.
What?
Ghostbusters and Deadman.
Yeah. I already highlighted that, but yeah, that would be a really good one. I could see, because the fun part about Deadman is that when he possesses someone, they get a Boston accent. Like there was an episode of Justice League where he took Wonder Woman's body, and then Wonder Woman all of a sudden spoke in a Boston accent. By the way, so here's that ad.
We're ready to believe you.
Apparently, that was real. And then number 6, Ghostbusters is not the original title. Ghostbusters is such an iconic title, so much so that many fans still haven't noticed that following the opening sequence in the New York City Public Library, the film that appears on screen is actually 2 words and not 1, reading Ghost Space Busters. Before the filmmakers settled on the now iconic title, Dan Aykroyd originally considered the title Ghost Smashers while Ghost Breakers was also an option. The sign outside the Ghostbusters fire station in New York even had variations of these titles during production. Ghostbusters wasn't available because Filmation's Ghostbusters, an unrelated TV series, because of that TV series. In the end, Columbia Pictures obtained the rights with Real Ghostbusters was so named to distinguish it from the film version. So that's why you have like Real Ghostbusters. Slimer is also known as Onion Head. Despite being one of the most iconic characters in the entire Ghostbusters franchise, Slimer is never actually name dropped in either of the films. Ghostbusters 1 and 2. However, they refer to him as Onion Head, but by the crew of the original film. The ugly little spud wasn't actually named Slimer until the animated show. So that's why Master Sergeant is correct here with the show, and he said that the show is when Slimer shows up. Yeah, that's where Slimer came from, because that's where the name came from. The character was still there. Okay, it's this that inspired his more friendly cameo in Ghostbusters 2. So apparently he was on the team in the animated show, in which he offers Louis Tully and Nick Moranis a ride in the town car. Slimer isn't the only ghost in the original cast who isn't referred to by the name we know him now by. Gozer's two minions, Vince Cothrow, the Keymaster, and Zool. All right, you mentioned Zool. I gotta do this. Wait, we called him we call him the hot dog ghost until the cartoon came out. Oh, okay, that works. And by the way, so since I mentioned Zool,
Can I talk to Dana?
There is no Dana, only Zool.
She's hot.
Yeah, there you go. But and it turns out
In that voice, by the way. I'm not talking about her dressing. I'm talking about in that voice. Just
okay, that's interesting. Eddie Murphy wasn't offered the role of Winston.
what?
No, I'm sorry. Eddie Murphy was originally offered the role. We can't quite decide who is more lovable, Winston Zeddemore or Ernie Hudson. Either way, it's pretty frustrating that Winston doesn't appear in the original Ghostbusters for quite some time. Yeah, he's only in there for like half the movie when you think about it. And also does not get as much screen time as his co-stars either. Winston was supposed to join the team a lot earlier and would have been in the scenes where the Ghostbusters capture Slimer. Earlier versions of the script also included a backstory which detailed his time in the Air Force, something IDW's comic book run series utilizes. So they show him in the Air Force? That's interesting. However, when Eddie Murphy turned down the role of Winston Zeddemore, and when the studio consequently wanted to give Bill Murray a bigger role in the film, this forced major rewrites in the script, which led to the character of Winston being omitted from many scenes. Okay, so I like Ernie Hudson. See, here's the thing. I don't think I would have liked the character of Winston as much if it were Eddie Murphy, because there are times when Eddie Murphy kind of annoys me. So that's just me. And we got a comment. So let's see what we got. Yeah, he came out the hot dog stand. Show me hot dogs. Okay, cool. However, and he turned on the roll. Okay, there you go. So number 3, it was supposed to be a futuristic adventure. While the original Ghostbusters can at times feel a little outlandish, the Stay Puft, a Marshmallow Man, the Teladia's favorite character, being one of the most bizarre but brilliant things in the entire film, an early concept of the film was far more out there than you may have realized. In the DVD commentary, it was revealed by Ivan Reitman and Harold Ramis that the story was originally set in a futuristic New York City, where teams of readily established Ghostbusters can be found all over the world, as well as several huge supernatural entities. Fortunately, this would have set the studio back some $300 million at the time, which is why Ramis was brought on board to make some much-needed rewrites. Let's just hope that any future Ghostbusters movie don't borrow elements from the original script. Oh, okay. So it was originally supposed to be like significantly larger in scale. It's just what happened is they needed to to essentially take out a lot of stuff from the script because of that. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Eddie Murphy and Ghostbusters would have been like Richard Pryor in Superman 3. It would have been a Murphy view. Yeah, exactly. That's why. And I'm like,
It was a safe bet not to use him.
Yeah, Slimer is based on John Belushi, and I'm like, okay. and it's all inspired by a real Ghostbuster. Oh, that's cool. Seeing as not April Fools, they were not going to try and convince you that Ghostbusters or any real things are inspired by true events, but it is inspired by real life paranormal investigators. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So Claudia, in terms of how do you rate this movie out of 10? Let me ask you this.
I would rate this movie a solid 10 out of 10 as a comedy stroke horror, not horror, comedy stroke ghosty film, Halloween film, right?
Yeah, I give it that too, because first off, like I said before, to bring it all hashtag full circle, the thing I like about Ghostbusters is that it's a good vehicle to the 80s. So there is that. And the thing about this is that it's, first off, the humor hits. And again, I go back to some things back then, the humor doesn't hit as hard. For someone of this time period, and by the way, Val brings up Eddie Murphy would have been great in the movie, but as Master Sergeant said, it becomes a totally different movie because of how powerful a figure like Murphy is, which I think Superman 3 never fully understood. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Definitely 10 hits all the right boxes for what it wants to be. Yeah, exactly. Because again, like I said before, what I want to bring up is that, particularly with the comedy, because remember, I didn't grow up in this time period, and seeing it now, I appreciate a lot more of the jokes. And somehow, this movie has like timeless humor that even watching this now, I find it really funny. Because again, a lot of movies like that don't really do that, or at least they struggle to stay timeless, if that makes sense. Taladia, what do you agree with me? What did you think of the humor?
The humor's just on point. Like, the humor's there, right? You noticed it between the 4 Ghostbusters, right?
Mhm.
And what really brings it out is when the guy from Honey, I Shrunk the Kid comes into the fray. Makes it even more funnier.
Yeah, he was great. I like it whenever they have that character that like is trying to get the girl, but he's like a total clod or something like that. He was in a way like Clark Kent has always been portrayed in like the movies pre-Snyder. He's kind of, except a little more turned up to 10 in terms of the clodness, if that's a proper word that I can say. But yeah, that's why I like Rick Moranis as a character. I can see why some would find him annoying at times, but I dug that. I felt he was entertaining at the very least, particularly also at the party when like all of a sudden the dog jumps. And I like the acting when he's taken over by that one demon, and then he only the people in like the restaurant can't see the demon dog enter him, so he's just against the window, and he's like, ugh. And then he just crumples down and gets taken over. I really love that. I very much dig that.
So,
yeah. So I'm not gonna for the rest of the stream. Let's see. For the rest of the stream, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Taladia.
I would say for the next 15-20 minutes, because that's how much we've got left anyway, realistically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say, why don't we talk about something which everyone would like to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
What Ghostbusters spin-off stuff they would like to see.
Yeah, what spin-off? That's an excellent question. For like, I'd say 5 to 10 more minutes. What other Ghostbusters content would you want to see?
For me personally, can I be honest with you? Oh, okay. While Jared is thing, I'll be honest with you guys. he's busy doing on a computer. I would like to see something. What happened to Peter Venkman? The storyline of his future and how his son grew up. Oscar. I want to see
That'd be
that.
cool. You mean like a prequel movie?
Yeah, to Afterlife.
Yeah, I would have dug I really flesh out these characters more and how it could in terms of that. Yeah, exactly.
It would work for that. I mean, they could do stories. I mean, we don't necessarily need to do one for Ray because he was already established, right? In
Yeah.
other films like Casper the Friendly Ghost, but for other characters like Peter Venkman and I can't. I always get the pronunciations wrong.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you what I would like. I would like to see the events of the movie, or like a prequel events of the movie, but from the ghost perspective.
Oh, that would be cool.
Flip the script. Flip the script. Maybe you can show like these ghosts aren't like evil or anything like that.
We're just friendly people.
We're just, you could say we're friendly ghosts.
And how the restaurant people go back to that. Okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's definitely like I would also like to see what happened to the guy from Honey I Shrunk the Kids. What happened to his character after Ghostbusters?
That would be cool because they is he a character in any of the other movies?
He was in Ghostbusters 2, but
Mhm.
never was in Afterlife.
Oh, that would be cool to see. I love how you conveniently left out Ghostbusters 2016 because that's the way it should be.
Because it's not canon.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely not canon. And it's kind of funny. Remember that controversy that the director of 2016 tried to stir up when they didn't include his movie in like a collector's box set?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, no one cares about your movie. But that's the thing. But yeah, I would love that. That would be really cool. And let's see what in terms of like spin-offs, maybe like if they were to do a TV series, that would actually be really cool. It's like the Ghosts of the Week, like a live action TV series. Obviously, they can't use the actors, but they could like use like people that look like them. Yeah, what's up?
The Adventures of Slimer.
Hey, there you go. He goes around and messes with everyone.
Yeah, so you can see each episode. It's a 6-part episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each episode, it's a different victim, and you get to see what he's messing around with. But by the time he leaves, you see the Ghostbusters at the end.
Yeah, that would work. Fast be late. What's up, Venkman? And he goes, "No." Yeah, exactly. That'd be hilarious. And then at the end of the show, he could always go whenever he plays a prank on someone. You just got slimed.
You're so funny.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love that. But hey, Peter Venkman's fan site. Since you're obviously a fan of Ghostbusters, let me ask you in the chat, what's your favorite scene of the movie? What's your favorite character and all that stuff? Have you guys seen the Frighteners? No, because I'm typically not a ghost movie fan.
We're comic book nerds. We're not Ghostbusters. And I think his favorite character is obvious in his account name.
Yeah, so there you go. Which hey, that works. He was my favorite character too because he's so freaking hilarious.
But
But yeah, wait. Let me see this. The Frighteners. I want to see what this is. Frighteners. All right. The is a supernatural comedy film directed by Peter Jackson. Okay. I really liked Egon. Yeah, obviously. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Again, I loved his character because I think he was like one of the best characters. Let's see what else. Let's see. I mean, I would see again. I'm not really the ghost movie like fan, so typically it's not my thing. The scariest movies I've ever seen are like Aliens, and that's not even scary. I'm just saying like the movies that are typically associated with horror, because it takes a lot to scare. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but it takes a lot to scare me because I'm the dude that can play like games like Dead Space and Aliens versus Predator for a time at night without having nightmares. I don't know what that says about me, but yeah.
It says a lot. It says
a lot. I know. I'm screwed up. Peter Venkman's fan side says, I love Pete's style and humor. Yeah, exactly. Because he gets that bill, because it's to a degree, you know how everyone always like accuses The Rock of playing the same, playing basically The Rock in every movie he plays in. This is kind of like that, but the way that Bill Murray does it, he adapts it to the character. How about The Thing? I've seen the newer Thing remake. I've seen the newer one. I haven't seen the John Carpenter one yet, which I want to. That one's more like, that was not really like a ghost movie. It's more like an alien movie because of the thing, because of like the alien ship and all that stuff. So I'm fine doing that. Yeah. I'm fine doing that, doing those movies, because again, it's like, okay, this is fine. And I don't know. So Taladia, where do you stand on like real quick, and then we'll wrap up, watching scary movies? Is that a thing that you do, or are you like typically not in there?
I'm not into the scary movie genre. If you wanna somebody to talk about scary movies, there's one person I know that does talk about this stuff.
Oh yeah, is it Baby Hands?
It's Baby Hands with Wings.
Yeah, exactly. But I know that guy's Perp's awesome. We'll have him on the show to talk about scary movies or Batgirl or anything like that at any point. I believe actually he was on our stream when we did the James Gunn thing. So if you guys want to see that, go check that out. So yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Taladia, where can one find you, and what have you got coming out on the channel?
So you can follow me on Twitter at TaladiaPlays_. And you can also check out my YouTube page at Taladia Plays. I will be doing Marvel Spider-Man 2 content, and I am streaming the game tomorrow evening, as I'm going to be continuing on my walkthrough of the game and trying to 100% the game. And then next week, I've got a collab with Jared on Tuesday we might change it up a bit. We might do Spider-Man instead of Batman for that week.
Yeah.
Because it'd be really cool for Jared to get to see that, because we didn't do it this week. And then Wednesday is the Super Wonder comic, and myself and Jared are going to be talking about issue 2 of volume 2 for Super Wonder Doomed.
So I will say real quick, Master Sergeant, about I can't watch those because those terrify me. I'm like, nope, I do not watch the whole ones that deal with like possession, because I'm like, yeah, those give me nightmares. And then the whole thing with Peach just jerking Peck around is one of my favorite scenes. Yeah, I love that. That's one of my those are some of my other favorite movies. I can't really go into here because I like to keep the stream PG, but that's besides the point. But yeah, so in terms of Comics League, the Hammer Chronicles are really good. Okay, I'll check this out. So in terms of Super Wonder Legacy, okay, here we go. Britt and I are talking about why Lois Lane and Steve Trevor don't necessarily work well as love interests for Superman and Wonder Woman. I said as love interests. Wait, is there a panel where in Super Wonder where Batman is sad and looking in from the window?
I wish.
I wish. I'll see if I can find something like that, and then I'll post it in the Comics League chat, Master Sergeant, in the community post. So we're talking about that because here, to be clear, I said as love interest. I'm not saying eliminate the characters, period, from comics. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying as love interest for Superman and Wonder Woman, they don't work well, and we will show you why. In terms of Indie Wednesday, I'm not exactly like. I'm still working on what I want to do. Maybe I'll do some. Actually, no, I do know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some amalgam comics because, as Taladia, first off, being a member of Comics League, he has the power to eliminate the stuff. Eliminate Lois, Master Sergeant, a man after my own heart. Jeez, but so I'm going to be talking about amalgam comics, which is when DC and Marvel like crashed characters together. It was really cool. And in terms of Under Two Capes. I'm gonna think about this because the debate I had with Nick over the DCAU was actually really fun. So I'm going to work on that, and then in terms of
CLD,
I'm still working on because again, typically I only do CLD if there's like big news, but I might start doing a thing where we have like a backup topic in mind in case something happens, or we'll just hang out and just chat about any random stuff we want to talk about in terms of like CLD, because CLD is typically the news show, but I really want to like evolve it into like a nighttime talk show like environment. So that's the way we can kind of do it. So we'll still do it. So, and in terms of movie night next week, we are going to be talking about, let's see, what is the next? I think that the next one we're doing is Death of Superman.
I think so, yeah.
I think. Let me see here. Because I think we talked about the Judas contract.
No, isn't it Batman Bad Blood?
There is no did we do Bad? I think we did Bad Blood. Yeah, we did. We did because that's the one that establishes the Bat family. So we're done with that. I think we did Justice League versus Teen Titans.
Right.
Did we do Justice League Dark?
I think so.
Think so. That dude is always dying. Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'm just going to do it this way. We're going to make it an executive decision. The 4 movies that we're going to complete the DCAU with is Death of Superman, Reign of Superman, maybe Hush, and then Apocalypse War. So we're going to truncate it because I want to be able to complete this watch through and then get to other films so we can kind of like move on and stuff. So that's what we got roughly planned for this, for content, and we'll see what we can do. I'll see if I can get a pretty cool comics guest on in terms of like a big, like big, like creative guest. I have some people in mind, so we'll check that out. And on that note, everyone, stay heroic, and I will see you in the very next one. Remember, we're ready to believe you.